Today, I'm recreating Steal a Brainrot in Scratch, and I'm doing it in just 24 hours. Make sure you stick around to the end because I genuinely wasn't expecting the final result. Okay, first step is ready. On green flag, click forever. Change X by, change Y by. Make two variables called speed X, for sprite only, and speed Y, for sprite only. And then we'll change speed X, speed Y. We'll do these there. And speed X, speed Y by minus minus, D minus A, and W minus X. We're gonna change Y by that. Then we'll set speed X, speed Y to its respected variable times 0.8. There we go. Boom, now we have player movement. Now we're just gonna, I have a better idea for our player movement. Okay, we'll create two variables called map X and map Y. Now we're just gonna change map X and Y by X and Y, and then green flag click, we're going to set these to 0, 0. There we go. So now you can't see, but these are indeed moving. Now to make sure this actually works, we'll do 0, 0, set the size to like 40. Now we're just gonna make the map. It looks like it's just one big red carpet, so we'll do that. And then we'll also forever go to map X and map Y. Now when you move around, we're doing that. And then we need the house. So what are the bases? Kind of like cubes. So we'll just do this, and then we'll do a little outline like so. And then we'll create the customs. So do this, and we'll just call it render. Run without screen refresh. There we go. And this will just make it so we can render things. So we'll do it before we do all of this stuff. So we'll render. We'll switch costume to base, and then we can create multiple of these. And boom, then we'll just render the base. And then when we start as clone, forever X Y. Actually, we'll delete it. Call it ID. This right on there. I'm gonna call it object info. We'll do objects, and then we'll add everything, and then we'll change object by 1. So when we render, we'll change objects by 1. Game starts, we'll set objects to 0, and we'll change it by 1. Boom. Now we have cloning with the map. Now we can just move around, but for right now we're gonna add the brain rot. We'll get Tun 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 Sahort, Leo Tralala, Ballerina Coco, Bob Ren Coco Chin. I don't know how to say that. We'll get this guy, Brainrot Dex. We'll get Ballerina Cappuccina, and we'll get the 6-7. We'll get the 6-7. Now we gotta add them to the game. So he spawns, the other one should spawn. Then they all have like gaps in between them, and you just have to go up to them and buy them. They can actually work. Then we need to randomize them and add like rarities like legendary, god, ultra, mega. So this one's rare. This is common. It's common. And then we'll set the cost accordingly. We're gonna do the cost times itself times the index. So if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 220 common, 20 common, 216 common, $800 uncommon. Holy moly.
20 minutes later.
Okay, here's the update. This is what we did. Boom. The Brainrot spawn in. You see? Okay. Look. Boom, boom. Once they reach the end, now they if I keep going this way, there's no end. But eventually, when they hit the screen, like so, they'll sadly go away. But as you can see, there's a lot. Now I need to set up the base so it's actually working and it's like big and cool. And well, actually stealing the Brainrots. I need a break, and I'll be back in probably an hour. Alright, as you guys can see, I added sprites. I low-key stole this, but you know, it's Scratch, so who cares? But I got all this, which means all I gotta do is animate it. So we'll do a whole bunch of if all these keys are down. So we're gonna do W, A, S, and D, change anim by 1, and then we're gonna call animate. Now what we'll do is we'll switch costume to anim plus 1. Boom. So now we got a nice little running around animation that looks not too bad. At this point, the game was actually starting to come together, you know, but there was a big problem. You couldn't actually buy anything in a game about like buying and stealing Brainrots that didn't make any sense. So I loaded up Steal a Brainrot the first time, and I had to kind of borrow / steal their purchase system. I wanted to see what popped up when you walked up to the Brainrot. The rarity, the money per second, purchase button, all that stuff. Then I went to Turbo Warp and started recreating the sprite. I added some round corners, added a little bit of transparency and some shadows. Eventually I got some that looked pretty close to the original game. So I imported it back to Scratch and then started setting up the buying system. I got the purchase prompt showing whenever you hover over a Brainrot, but at this point it was already getting late. So I decided to call it there and finish the game tomorrow. Why, boys, I kind of stayed up a little bit too late last night. Fell asleep at like 2 a.m. Yeah, overslept. So currently only got like 3 hours left. And there's a lot we gotta do. All right, let's see what we even have done in the game, because I don't even remember. All right, we have the walk-in, stuff like that, and then we have the purchase button. Okay, now we need to work on like it actually popping up what you gotta buy, and then like which one you're actually touching. We'll find one that says check distance from without screen refresh, because it's gonna be running a lot. We just need to make a value called distance for this right on. We'll name it distance from player exclamation point, and then we have last explosive distance, and this will be for all sprites. So the first distance for player is going to be set to we'll say 1,000. There we go. And we'll do this on NF. Set distance from player to distance from player. Go. This will be forever. And then if our distance from player is less than the last closest distance, we'll set the last closest distance to distance from player. And boom. So we're closer to this guy. Now we're not. Now we're closer to this guy and this guy and this guy. But hold on. So now you can see how much their purchase value is. There we go. Now we need to make it so you can actually drag the Brainrots to here. I started by making the sprite. Then I coded the plots so they actually render in the base. After that, I tried making the Brainrots glide over their plots whenever you bought them. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. This took me over an hour and a half. Why is it moving so slow? Replace item. Alright, took, I don't even know how long, like 20 minutes to figure this stuff out because I was trying to do something cool, but it works. Well, kind of. The way I actually fixed it was by completely scrapping the gliding system and just teleporting them to the plots instead. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. And that was a huge problem because now I only had about an hour and a half to finish the entire game. I still needed to add a shop, AI, sound effects and polish, and a way for the Brainrots to actually make you money. And with only an hour left, things were not looking good. So I stopped worrying about making everything perfect and started speedrunning features. Boom, look at that. Now we're making $10 a second. There we go. At this point, I was actually starting to think I might pull this off. After 24 hours, my scratch copy of Still a Brainrot was finally finished. Pretty fun to play. Oh my god, it's a mythical 6-7. Holy. Not bad for 24 hours.